Hello, my name is Paul Mathole and I am Rector of Holy Trinity Platt in South Manchester, and it is great to be able to chat with Scarlett about matters of faith and her faith journey. And so, Scarlett, would you maybe introduce yourself for us?
Yeah, sure. I'm Scarlett. I'm originally from York, and for the past 3 years, I've been in Manchester studying psychology. So I'm in my final year now.
Great stuff. Very exciting. And I wonder if you could just share with us a little of your experience of spiritual things before you got involved with the Christian faith.
Yeah, sure. So I grew up in a non-Christian family, and we used to go to church very occasionally, maybe on Christmas or Easter. But generally, I used to see it as just a stopgap between when I woke up and opened my presents. And I was christened as a baby, but all of these things were more just traditional. So I had no real understanding of what the Christian faith was or what Christianity was. I just did these things a few times a year and didn't really know why. Just went.
Just those sort of markers along the way.
Yeah.
Sure. And then how about your journey since then? How have things changed since then, and how have you kind of come to be involved in church things?
Yeah, so when I was 11, I went to a Christian summer camp, mainly because me and my twin sister just wanted to do some fun activities for a week. But it was here that I heard the gospel for the first time. And I remember thinking during the talk, if this is true, and I think it is, I need to turn my life around. I need to follow Jesus. So it was then when I was 11 when I first professed, but I didn't truly understand what that meant to live a life as a Christian. Like, I knew I believed it was true, but I didn't really didn't make that connection to the fact that I'd have to change things in my life. So I kept going back to camp every year because I loved it. And it just fostered a community of questions, and I asked loads, and it was just a real pressure-free environment where I could just ask my leaders loads of questions. And I started reading the Bible for myself and started to understand that I could really have a relationship with God and how that would change my life. And I think, it was definitely having those conversations with dorm leaders. I used to get really worried about how I'd know I was saved, and they just used to really chat it through with me and refer me back to the Bible. And then since then, in my first year of uni, joining Platt, which was my first proper church family, which was awesome, being in that community and having regular Bible teaching and Bible study groups, and all of that just really fed me and helped me to grow as a Christian, which is awesome.
Marvelous. Oh, that's really lovely to hear. And I would love to, on another day, hear some ins and outs of that that story. But in part, as we're thinking a little bit about connecting with those who perhaps would have no faith background, or would say they've got no faith background, have you got any advice or thoughts for churches or church leaders about how to do that and what to have in mind in trying to connect with people?
Yeah, I think a real important thing, especially for me, was having that really relaxed environment where I could just feel no pressure and could just ask all my questions. Talks are really good, but sometimes they can feel quite pressured. So having events which get especially teenagers into church, and having that ability to just ask anything that they want and just feel welcomed in that community. Because I know for a fact I didn't know very many young people went to church. The church I went to on Christmas and Easter was a really small country church, which is really lovely, but I was the youngest person there by quite a while. So I didn't know that I could have this real great community throughout the ages at church. I didn't know that. And I think that would be a great thing to foster, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. That's really helpful. Thank you. Thanks so much, Scarlett, for sharing some of your journey and just raising those topics. That's really helpful. Thank you. Thank you so much.
No problem. Thanks.